All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a wonderful day. The stock market hit another all-time high today. The S&P 500 went up to 50,048, only to sell off red, but now tomorrow morning we have the CPI and economic data. This is where rallies come to party or they come to die. So, Chad, we got a lot to talk about. I have a little breakdown for what to expect on the CPI tomorrow. We're going to go over some plays. We had another awesome option trade, Airbnb, a free play with thousands of % of upside. We'll talk about that. And then we are going to go over everything else we have for the rest of the week and what we're going to be watching. There's a couple of other earnings plays, but Chad, before I get into any of that, I would love it if you liked the video, showed some love. You know we're live. We do this every day, Monday through Friday. Damn it, I messed it up. I meant to say we're on the stream, but listen. We are going to be live tomorrow, youtube.com/thestockmarket, 1 hour before the bell. We are going to be going over the CPI live. If you have any questions, anything gets outdated by the time you see this or not, or you want a Chad right next to you with all of the updates in real time, even a newswire. I think I could turn it on. I could turn it on and off here. See, this will be the newswire. You'll get it live and direct on stream. That is going to be tomorrow, youtube.com/thestockmarket. We will see you there, baby. Run it.
Walking to the couch, it's a 2020 election. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a live, but I still reinvest it. Feel how I feel, then you feel less a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it down.
Right off the bat, before we get into the keys, coming across the wire right now, it looks like Carl ICahn has taken a stake in JetBlue. That is surging up around 11 to 15% right there, but now getting into the keys and tomorrow, what I want you to understand is that tomorrow is important, but the waiting and how important it will be, that'll only last for a little while. Why? Because there is going to be another CPI meeting ahead of the March meeting, so you got to think about it. Between today and the next Fed meeting, that is where you're going to pretty much get your pivot points in the market. So although tomorrow's data is going to move things and it will be important, there's still a lot of time and a lot of other follow-ups to this data that could really get market expectations moving. So keep that in mind for tomorrow. The other part you have to keep in mind is that generally, regardless of what numbers come out, as long as it is not a mind-boggling low or very high number, but especially a very high number, most people are expecting that the general story and shape of the inflation curve, that is going to remain. If you're not familiar, we talked about this a little on stream. I also brought this up on yesterday's watch list, but if you come down to any inflation chart, pull up a multi-year chart, you'll see this inflation has been coming down. So as long as there's not a gigantic spike or any bad news that lets people think that this story is changing, most people, whether or not there's a beat or a miss, we've gotten a couple here or there off by like 0.1 or 0.2. The markets haven't been upset off of it because it is still showing the same sort of story. Somebody asked today, they're like, well, what about the jobs report? What if inflation drops a lot tomorrow? That'll be amazing news, because think about it. If the jobs market is being strong and Powell's not freaking out about it, and the reason why they're not freaking out is because inflation is going lower. If we had inflation spike up with the jobs, that'll get people feeling the other way. But in general here, a lot of the big story relies on what happens with inflation. As long as inflation is going down, you could justify almost every single one of those soft landing, no landing scenarios. So this is what people are going to be looking for. Keep all of this in mind. But now, as far as what to expect, I'm telling you here, most analysts, they are expecting this general shape to come down. So there is going to be a couple caveats to tomorrow. People are thinking that the number comes in lower. Believe it or not, they think core and headline are both going to come down, but headline will get affected by energy prices, but they are saying, if anything, energy prices have been low. All of the indexes should get a beat by that or a benefit, and then the decline in used car prices, that is also going to be helping out the CPI, and this is where people are thinking we are going to get a low number. If anything is going to come in high tomorrow, it is going to be on rents being higher and travel spending, but then there was also a couple of other seasonal one-off factors that are going to be included, and I don't think they got revised out. That's what we got to learn from Friday. There are certain EV tax credits, depending on when they hit and how they hit, that could affect the inflation number, and then there was also a sales tax holiday in Florida that this one will be going over. This CPI, don't forget, although we're in February, this is the CPI for January. Technically, it is our first one of the year, even though we already had a CPI at the beginning of the year for December. Yeah, you get it. Welcome to all the economic data. But this is the main breakdown. It should be very simple, though. Like I'm telling you, you will be getting the same story, but the way I'm looking at it, it's either you get the same story and disinflation progress still looks good, or people are going to get really, really excited on it being the lowest inflation in 2.5 years or more. And as long as there's no scary factors in the rate of the drop, people will probably feel good, and that will support any rally that we have going forward. So it should be a simple breakdown for the markets. High inflation, negative response, low inflation, positive response. We will see what happens with the bonds, but the thing about tomorrow, there's just going to be a little bit of a range. Think about 0.2, 0.3, anything within there, the market may be able to brush things off. I'm saying all of my analysis here very tentatively because just remember, we just had that jobs report, and that came in very strong, but you didn't really quite see that reaction you would have thought the market would have done, aka it ripped up and went another 50, 100 points past the all-time high. So keep all of this in mind, but now the final key, man. It's very simple. It's a very important day tomorrow. We've talked about why it'll be important for a little bit and why it might not be, but just keep in mind there's more data on Friday, PPI as well as consumer sentiment, but now the seasonality that we kept talking about, this is where tomorrow is going to come into play. If tomorrow isn't a good reaction, that seasonality, we're going to get to see how the rest of the month plays out. But if it is a good reaction, then this is where we could continue forward. Like I'm saying here, this market rally, 100 points at a time, not stopping. This data is either going to be a speed bump, lead us into taking a break, or everyone's going to say, wait a minute, we have all the more reason to party. And then that seasonality, if tomorrow is good and then we keep ripping up, you're going to have a lot of people asking, well, is it negative seasonality or not? Or do we get an anomaly like we saw in February of last year or 2 years before that? So we'll see what happens. Either way, tomorrow morning we're going to be there and it will be crazy. So Chad, I hope you're locked in. But now let us get into the plays. So right off the bat, I got 3 different plays, and I think most of them are earnings, pre-earnings or not, but let me start off with the third play, and I'm going to go down to Airbnb. Why? Because we made this play on Friday. You had to be there on the stream or get the stream alerts. I was surprised how many people didn't think we got this play because we were just talking about how it was expensive, but I did talk about it on yesterday's watch list. Expedia dropped after being at those highs, and this allowed a window to pick up Airbnb. It was expensive if you looked at the earnings right ahead of it. The stock was running up. Everybody had the premium. It's getting through, like right next to a 1-year high. The premiums were very, very high. And then after Expedia, the stock dropped 4 or 5%, and we bought it at the low, and we were able to get a discount for just a little bit on that earnings run up. So what did I do with Airbnb? This has been a topic we have been discussing about a lot, but I made the play free. So some people were asking me about plays they had today. They're like, what do I do? Do I hold it? Do I take the profits now? Do I go for the risk? And it always seems to be the happy middle ground is making it free. So what I did, knowing that I was going ahead of the pre-earnings run-up, you could even see the stream alert, playing the run-up, and then making it free. So what did I do? I grabbed 2 of these 175 contracts. I bought them at 59 cents a pop, 59 cents. And then today they went up to $1.18. They even closed at 133, but I sold out at 118. Got my initial investment back. I also bought 2 of these 190s. These were the further out the money ones, but I figured I'd go for the smaller plays just in case there's no cheap options the day before. I grabbed 2 of these at 15 cents, and I sold one one of them today at 30. So I pretty much got all my money back, and then I went and I bought a 125 put for $45. But here's the deal. I got back $118 today by selling that one contract. I spent $59 on one, $16 on the other, and then $45 on the put. I'm in at 120. I got back most of that money today. I think I'm in for like $2 risk, and then I'm sitting on whatever I have left. If I just want to sell anything out, take away one of the 190 calls, or even if I want to sell the 175 before earnings, I could walk away with that with profit. But what I wanted you to see here, this was a pre-earnings play. I plan on playing it for earnings, but the way I'm going about it is buying some of the options. I think it may be too late to do that now. It depends on what tomorrow does, but in general now, keeping these earnings plays in mind, buying a little bit more of the 2 standard deviation ones. If it runs up before, sell half, ghetto spread it if you only have one contract, and now I could ride the earnings event with zero money on the table. Last time we did that, it was ARM into 15 or 1100, then the other one, so 1800 total. Yeah, no, it was 1500, 15 plus 3. Oh my goodness, it was crazy. But Chattadonia, I hope you get that. Oh, and I have it here the whole time. Why I'm playing Airbnb, it's going to be a pivotal earnings. I forgot to switch over to the screen to show you guys the contract. So here are the puts. Those are the ones that I'm down on there, and then I grabbed the 190 calls. They went up 100%. Same thing with the 175s, and then going from there to wait for tomorrow and then finalize our play. So that is play number 1. Watch out for that. Now going up, play number 2. This was another earnings play that I made today, AMAT and AKAM. I brought these up on the list, and the thing that got me looking at them was the fact that there was a lot of runners today ahead of them, and that was ANET. I think AKAM, one of these was up a little bit, so be careful. It kind of already had the pump, but this one, quite simply, thought we'd get a little bit of time for the pre-earnings. I wasn't as confident like the Airbnb or the ARM one, so I didn't go with more than one contract. I only ended up buying one of each. As far as the AKAM, believe it or not, I didn't go both ways, only went to the upside. I grabbed one of the 150 calls for about 150. I think this is just outside of 2 standard deviations. Again, I'm giving the fact that I think AKAM's on Thursday, or AKAM or AMAT's on Thursday. One of them's tomorrow. And then I grabbed the AMAT 235s. I bought these at 60 cents. They ended up going down, but this was the one that already had the pump in the morning. So one of these was a little bit more than 2 standard deviations. We'll see how they all play out, but these are the plays for now. I'm only on the call side. If they continue their run-up, I may get puts tomorrow, or I may want to de-risk on these. It just all depends how they move and how they respond. But these 2 in general, I have seen both of these names move as well as do nothing on earnings, but they always get my attention whenever they report. And in this case, I was able to play both of them for less than $80. But like I said, I think AKAM or AMAT, that was the more expensive one. It was double the price. So watch out for that. That is play number 2. And then finally, play number 3, we may have another earnings hit on our hands. Zoom Info. We bought the plays. I think we played it only one direction today, did we? Let's take a look. I think we did. Shop, yeah, Zoom Info. We grabbed one of the $20 calls at 22 cents. I said it was kind of expensive there. I knew they had the ability to move there considering their last couple of earnings was like 20 to 30%, but we're right below getting in the money. We got a little bit of time on it, but now with this play, hopefully you guys have been paying attention to the other watch list. It's either going to sell off right at open. It may play out like Net has the gap up, then kind of stays pinned, then kills the premium, or it does what Expedia does and sell off, or maybe we get an ARM or IBM and all it does is go straight up. Either way, make up your mind now. Are you going to try to push this play tomorrow, or wherever it opens at in the first couple minutes, are you going to look to take profits? Depending on where it opens, pretty much any dollar above 20, that contract will go up $1. So I think if it opens up at $22, we should be up at 1,000%, a little bit more considering the time that we have. But that's another one. We'll see where it takes us. But besides that, everything else, I don't have any other crazy plays. I am going to be looking at a couple of the other earnings for tomorrow. We will be doing AMD or Airbnb, AMAT, and all the other ones after hours. So watch out for that. Hopefully we see you there. Other than that, be there on stream for the live. We'll see where this CPI takes us. But now, That is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure Hydra Healthy ready to go. Make sure post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining. And I need you to remember, baby, don't get dehydrated. Oh, yeah, I'm talking water for your body, but other things in life, man. If you did them as much as you drank water, you would die of dehydration. So make sure you get into some good daily habits and refresh the spirit, baby. But Chad, I love you. Drink that water. Stay hydrated and healthy. All that good stuff. I'll see you in the AM and Horn.